Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's CNCF TAG Environmental Sustainability meeting. We have Wednesday, the 29th of May. So this is a CNCF community meeting, so it falls under the CNCF Code of Conduct, which can be summarized to be excellent to each other. I already sent the meeting notes in chat, but let me send it again so everybody can also follow up on their own. It would be great if you take a second and add yourself to attendees list. And we don't have like a bunch of topics on today's agenda. So if you have like something you would like to talk about, feel free to either like raise it with every project update or like in the open discussion items. All right. Are there any new attendees? I don't think so. Is there anybody who would like to just say hello? I think so.
Hello. Yeah,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually attended last week, but I had issues with my microphone and I could not speak. Hello. So my name is Dana. I work at CERN, and last summer I had the great opportunity to work on a proof of concept of implementing Kepler on our Kubernetes clusters. We didn't go through with it. We met some issues and we decided to stop for a while, but we had a nice blog post out of it, which I also linked in one of the GitHub issues. And yeah, I liked the full work in this direction that the community is doing, and I decided it's a nice next step to join the meetings. So I don't know how stuff works. I don't know where I can be helpful, but for sure I want to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I saw you commented, and that's also Ricardo, right? You,
Yes.
you both commented on the user stories project, I believe, or I forwarded it or something. But this could be probably like a very potentially like a good first project. Like what if you already wrote a blog post about it, but maybe we can tell the story again. Would be probably interesting to a lot of people, I assume.
Yeah, sounds very good.
Awesome, awesome.
Just a small comment here, and it's just we recently had a meeting where we were discussing KubeCon, what talks everyone attended from CERN, what they liked, and also Kepler and the environmental issues in general came up a lot. So I think we might be doing something in this direction in the future. So it's very good to follow up.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, we also, I don't think I have this added to the open discussion items, but we have Siam as a new tech lead joining us, and he will also start monthly meetings for starters for the Asia time zones, and because a lot of maintainers, Kepler maintainers, are based in Japan, China, and Asia time zones in general, we will probably also use this meeting for like a touch base between the tag and Kepler. So hopefully this will also strengthen the bonds a bit. All right. Maybe just one note for you, Diana. We have every couple of months a getting started meeting, which is also recorded. So if you like to have like a broad overview about the tag, I can find a link after the meeting if you like. There's also a couple of slides just as an introduction. And I think maybe we also wrote a blog post at some point. Probably we did. Just for an introduction. All right.
I think that would be great.
I think everybody else already is. So we don't have like another one that would like to introduce themselves, right? Because everybody already is kind of around. All right. Let's move to the working group updates, starting with Claire, working group comms.
Yeah. Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. I had to download the Zoom client for this one. Yeah, so we're currently in the middle of doing some role reviews and figuring out where the working group comms goes from here, kind of roadmap and some roles. We've also had some people asked to be website leads, and I think we've got a few bits of interest and some more recurring contributors to the weekly meetings. So that's really nice. We're also looking to change the time and day of the meetings so that a few more people that have asked to be more regularly involved can be involved. We're going to be finalizing that hopefully tomorrow / this week. I've also suggested that we move to every other week meetings instead. At the moment, I'm pretty much the only person that's chairing, so I think that'll be better. It's also kind of unless we have a really big event coming up, there's not a whole lot to do every week. Every 2 weeks makes a little more sense. So those are the big things. We're also trying to help all of the other projects that have kind of comms related things. So Sustainability Week, any of the other projects that kind of fit under the working group comms. It's great to see people coming to the meetings and having a chat anyway. I think one of our best meetings was a couple of weeks ago. It was very energetic and it was just very nice to see. So if anyone else has anything that they want to discuss with working group comms, we'll be having our meeting tomorrow. So you feel free to add to the agenda. Otherwise, that's pretty much it.
Sounds great. Yeah, I think like because the working group is not like as settled as maybe green reviews, for example, like having like in the future it definitely makes sense, I think, to have like sub projects or like projects assigned also a bit to the working group. So the NSTEP document, for example, maybe also the user stories one as soon as we start that.
Yep.
Like Sustainability Week for sure.
Yep. I think that would be good.
Yeah. I remember there was like I think you worked with Valeria on proposing like handbooks for sub areas.
Yes, the goal of the roles review is basically to define them with a few more bullet points than we have now because they're a little vague. I think that document still has a lot of comments that I haven't gone back and reviewed, but obviously it's under development. The goal then being when we know what that looks like, if there is already a role that is filled by someone, a couple of them are, we can work together to create a little handbook. I think social media kind of already has one that Christina wrote, so we can work from that one for the others. But yeah, that would be good. I think basically trying to give somebody that wants to join the role a thing so that they can get a little bit more started without having to rely on other people to tell them.
Yeah. Let me see if I quickly find the thing. Should be somewhere.
Yes.
Identify. No.
Top one. Yeah, on in progress.
All right. So if anybody is like interested, I think like we can also get like a lot of inspiration from Kubernetes, for example. They have like a computer experience, SIG. They have, as far as I read like documents in the community, it's pretty good defined because they're like it's running like for quite some time and there's like a lot of people popping in, popping out, and then they need to find these documents. So probably we can just scrape parts.
I think that'd be a good idea. And I think the biggest thing for this one is we kind of just wrote down what we have or what we think it should look like, and that was just the two of us. So figuring out what that looks like for everyone is key, especially the contributor experience, because although we were both new, so we had some feelings of that, that was the one we were least sure of what it should look like. So any help there is very good.
All right. Are there any questions for working group comms? Otherwise, Nikki, would you like to give an update about green reviews?
Yep. Hi. So for anyone who is not familiar with the Green Reviews Working Group, we're creating a pipeline to measure sustainability metrics for CNCF projects. So we're using Kepler. We're also looking into the software carbon intensity specification. So it's kind of trying to showcase how to implement these things using cloud native tools. Right now we are creating some proposals. We have proposal 1 for how we're going to deploy the CNCF projects and how we're going to trigger the pipeline. So we want to merge that by actually by the end of this week. It's almost finished. I think we just need some last approvals, and hopefully we can merge that by the end of this week and then create some issues so that we can distribute the workload. So if folks would like to, I mean, most of the folks in this call are familiar faces who are maybe already involved, but if anyone would like to be involved in this project, we have our meetings on Wednesdays that alternate with this one, and we have a channel as well. And then we have a couple other proposals on the way. So really it's just, that's what we're doing. And we're gonna start building soon.
That's awesome. I think like some implementation already happened, right, on the proposals, at least for the first one. I saw some stuff. Yeah, or not? Maybe not. Maybe I saw something different. I don't know.
We changed the code owners file.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe there was like some misconfiguration.
Yeah.
I misconfigured something. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Oh, good.
Sounds good. All right. Could you send the link to the proposals in chat or add it to the document for people to follow up if they like? Awesome. Are there any questions for working group green reviews? There it is. Thank you. All right. Then let's move to the projects, starting with Jacob about the Kubernetes project, best practices.
Yeah. So this probably just going to be a small update. So we're still collecting feedback on the recommendation from Graciano, the first recommendation we got. So I don't think it has been accepted yet. Then we're also considering if we want to publish the recommendations more incrementally, so we don't wait till we have got them all, but kind of publish the recommendations kind of when we have one which we think is okay, then we just publish it. And then we got a new contributor or someone from the Kubernetes contributors mailing list who wants to help us with some proofreading, which is quite nice. So I think it's going okay.
That's Karen, right? Karen mentioned she would like.
Yeah, I think that was Karen. Yeah.
Let me actually find very quick the link to the, or maybe you have it. There it is. I think this one. Right, this is the document. Yeah, there was like a lot of feedback about changing some things. Was there like a meeting in between where you talked about the comments already, or is this because there are like a lot of comments?
Yeah, I wasn't specifically at that meeting, so I don't know, honestly. But yeah, I think they talked about the comments. So they have been doing some back and forth with the comments, but the status is that it's not done yet, as far as I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like always like a question to be asked, like how much do we want to include in this document? How much can we reference from other documentation or blog posts or whatever that already exist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I think like if somebody has would like to contribute and has some background in Kubernetes, I think also reviewing would be very good, would be very helpful. Let me send this in chat. All right. Are there any questions for Kubernetes best practices? So in general, like we have for every project that we have a running tracking issue. So if you would like to look up any of these things, so for example, if you're curious about like what is the scope and goals of one of these projects, you can go to the, but I think everybody for the most part knows this, right? But no, let me go here to open items, and then we have a column about tracking. These are project tracking issues, and these are project proposal issues. Just if you like to follow up. All right. The next one is about the landscape document. I don't see Jochen in the call. I know there was like some discussions happening last time, Christina, right? And I also added one discussion item to the agenda about maybe changing the project a bit. So maybe for background, so this we have on our website a page, which is basically one large document. I don't know how many pages, like 15 pages or so, which describes all kinds of things, projects, but also organizations and practices and so on. So what can you do in general? So this project kind of is now stale for the last couple of months. It's not so easy to drive contributors to the project. So there was now the idea to maybe turn this into like a report that we have like end of the year report, which we can publish, which is maybe also a little bit smaller in size, and having like a deadline and not like a continuous running document might be a bit easier. Are there any thoughts about this?
I think it's a very good idea, and because this says also the learning path to assess the project, maybe these two could be merged into one because they are a bit related, in my opinion, not directly, but also maybe they're about similar things.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think like learning path, I also have like one comment here that we need to reassess the project a bit. Maybe that's a good idea to connect the landscape document because it's like educational, right? If you have like the overview about in general stuff happening, maybe if we want to shrink it down, to refocus it a bit, because right now, so let me pull up the website. Wilco, you came off mute.
Yeah, no, I was thinking it makes it easy. So if you have the landscape, you could say for any, I mean, this would be a good starting point for any project. What are the sustainable perspective on this CNCF project? And what can you learn on this? And that's why it could be a good, how do you say it, structure. Because if you do just like what is the how can you learn about sustainability in general, it can go all directions. Yeah, learning path, I mean.
Yeah, I think about
Well,
learning. Yeah.
no, I wanted to add here that the idea was to create a document, how I understood it, that will provide information to, well, system administrator, DevOps, the three people who started with this, and it is focused on them only. But again, maybe it is a part of also landscape because this document will also evolve, and to me, they again talk about similar things, maybe.
All right. About the learning path, because we're already kind of talking about it, right? I think like we should not forget like there's also another foundation, Green Software Foundation, which has a lot of not basic, but in general like good information about IT and sustainability. And we don't necessarily need to replicate it. So I think there is less if we tell like the broad story about cloud and sustainability, there's like a lot to talk about, but since a bunch is already covered and we have all the other projects and we kind of have not so much folks driving the learning path, it's kind of tough to find people, right? Maybe it's better to, for now, close a project or maybe integrate some thoughts, as you said, Pavel, into the landscape document. But would be good to also get Max's thoughts on this. I don't think he joined last time, right? So
It hasn't changed, but last time I was on holiday recently, so I couldn't do anything. We agreed to try to pick this up at the end of May, essentially from now. And I agree with you that there is already Green Software Foundation that describes a lot of introduction things. If I understood Mark's idea, it was about specific groups of people who run Kubernetes, who run systems to create documents for them. But the more I think about it, the more it looks like a landscape document. Do you explain what it is there, how you can, well, maybe not start, but how you can use things. So maybe it makes sense to create one less project, but join two initiatives.
I mean, like in a way, the Kubernetes best practices project also serves this purpose, right? So at the end,
Yeah,
you will
I think so too. Yeah.
write a blog post or something like that, or multiple blog posts, whatever, that at the end educate, or just for starters, like summarize everything that the community is thinking about in terms of sustainability interactions with Kubernetes and what you can do about it as a platform engineer. So it's not necessarily like learning path. I don't recall I don't think it's mentioned as a term in the charter or the goals of the this project, right? But it's similar, right? It's a bit similar. All right.
Yes.
I think I would open up an issue for each of these projects to propose changing it, and then we just can comment on the GitHub issue, and for the landscape document, refine the purpose of the document and how it works, sort of. And for learning path, how existing projects maybe we can add like some ideas to the landscape document, or for this project, for example, to have like a learning path idea mindset as one of the sub goals, maybe potentially. All right. All right. So landscape document, and let's move to the green scraper project update. We are going a little bit like crisscross right now, but I think it's fine. If Christina, would you like to give a brief update about the green scraper project?
Yeah, very brief update. We are working on the project. So we have tasks on our project board that are in progress. So we are working on doing some improvements to the tool in terms of which details it collects about the events and how it publishes the changes through pull requests, and also are working on the POC for a reusable workflow so that we could easily plug it into the tag env repo from the tooling repo. So that is, and we are also discussing if there is any scope for testing the setup together with Nandish. So basically just doing the work. That's an update. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So if anybody's curious about the outline of the project, let me send the tracking issue.
Yeah, thanks. We're not many, but we have tasks to to share and spread across. So you're very much welcome to join. We have meetings bi-weekly on Mondays.
Yeah, it's a lot smaller, like in size, as for example, Working Group Green Reviews, right? But I think it serves a very cool objective. Could be a good resource for your community. All right. Any questions for the Green Scraper project? I don't see. All right, we already talked about the learning path, and I also don't see Max on the call. Project update about the Cloud Native Sustainability Week. I see William in the call. I know you joined, I think, all of the recent last updates meetings.
Yeah, our last meeting was we talked about how we're organizing the roles for this group, and we have a lot of to-do items. We're going over the summary documents that we're sharing with event organizers to make it a little bit more digestible, and updating last year's documents with this year's.
Yeah, I think that's a great step. I think like this week, maybe it's already published. I saw some PRs coming in about updating the website and publishing a blog post. And I think the recording is already uploaded. So I think a lot of announcements will happen this week, next week. And then hopefully with the guide, we can drive a lot of organizers organizing an event. All right. Are there any questions for the Cloud Native Sustainability Week? These meetings are also on Monday, I think also every 2 weeks. So if you're curious about the event, so as I said, the page is not yet up, but the one from last year's event is up, so you can read up the event here. All right. Moving to the last item from Wilco, Observability 2.0 with CNCF projects.
Yeah, it's a thought. Well, it's not a thought experiment because I'm devoted to it, but maybe a little bit of explanation. So, 1.5 or 2 months ago, I started to show up probably in these meetings for the first time, and open source was new for me. CNCF was pretty new for me in general. So in the beginning, I really had first a focus. Like I'm not a Kubernetes guy. Kubernetes is a cornerstone of CNCF, right? But in my daily work, I'm architect and now mainly also with a lot of CNCF products and lead developer. So I was starting to look. That's why I also kind of was waiting on the landscape document, giving more insight. But I did my own, how do you say it, crawling and understanding. And together with some own, how do you say it, ideas or thoughts that I think that my journey in sustainability, where I will focusing and working on in the next few months. Eventually, I landed like in Dapper is really close to development, right? Microservices, front ends, how to connect them together, and more on a little bit higher level. So with Kepler, of course, you're on the lowest level, trying to be so how do you say, precise as possible with your calculations of software carbon intensity. But for decision making, sometimes you not always need the most exact numbers. So that's why I'm really now focusing on, first I have a summer break, and after the summer break, that's also why I said from July, I'm potentially available for a chair, or if that ever happened with possible projects in the future. So this is the thing I'm going to focus on. And yeah, I don't know if this could be a project or maybe part of the learning path/landscape document. But I really believe that Prometheus, Doppler, and OpenTelemetry could be in its core and helpful way to more on a higher level start to make visible how the resource use is and how that relates to a certain impact. Yeah, that's kind of my case.
Actually, Dapr is kind of interesting in this list because like Prometheus and OpenTelemetry are kind of obvious, right? But Dapr has like in general, it's like this framework which you put on top of your microservices to connect them.
Yes.
But definitely right, because at the end, over the sidecar, Dapr sidecars, you can then also configure the services that they measure things, or you can have like the networking observability
Yes.
between services.
Yeah, there are three perspectives that I really like. So there are some ways that you can request the OpenTelemetry of Dapr or the sidecar itself. There is a way where if you use OpenTelemetry in your solutions that connect through Dapr, and then it's the third part of the third thing, you can create a workflow. Like if you have multiple microservices working together and running a certain pod, so Kubernetes somewhere below or WebAssembly. So how can this all work together to get more insight for one event or a certain workflow or something going on? So it's not necessarily that Dapr always need to be part of what I'm working on, but it is this little ecosystem that I really like to explore and see what is possible and how can we convert this insight into simple decision making in an agile team or for an IT manager or that kind of stuff. So yeah,
I think like this is, for example, like Prometheus and OpenTelemetry, like the question would be because the metric specification is very generic, right? So
Yeah.
what you can put everything in like a counter variable, right? It can stand for any kind of number, sort of. So the question it would be like, what would be our, because I know like, and I think also some folks from the OpenTelemetry community reached out to us that they're also interested in just this type of new observability, these metrics. Would be curious, like, what changes would we maybe make? Because for Dapr, it's kind of okay, kind of I see that because maybe we need to extend like the API and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So Prometheus and OpenTelemetry is so generic for the most part. So maybe
No,
already.
it's more a best cases. So for Dapr, so I already talked also to the Dutch, I forgot his name, but we have in the Netherlands also a community person who's very active. I can look up his name after this. I already talked. He was like, yeah, we are thinking about how should we more implement sustainability into Dapr and possibilities, and indeed in what you just said.
Yeah.
The other things is more how can you set up certain best practices to have a better insight in your resource use and then in a broader perspective. So not only like cloud resource use, what on premise happens, but also like with agile team metrics, finance metrics, and bringing together in the most simplest way. So that is more a best practices thing. Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
Christina.
Let me check what.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on what you mentioned, Leo, regarding the group from OpenTelemetry. It may be relevant for you to check out. Wilco, they really started out a special interest group, the SIG, under the OpenTelemetry project that is specifically targeting the creation of like semantic conventions for sustainability metrics in the OpenTelemetry standard. So they have just started the work right now, and I think maybe that can be relevant to follow along with. They have a separate channel on Slack that is called Hotel SamConf Sustainability SIG or something like that. I can find it afterwards. Okay. But there are
would be awesome.
A few folks also that were somewhat involved in the tag, I think, at least some from the Resync, I think, at least with Brendan, I think, that is driving the SIG. So there will be some interesting development going on there as part of the.
Is it related to Ether?
To what? Sorry?
Yeah, Resync is. We're also working on Ether to calculate in a different way based on OpenTelemetry emissions and other kind of stuff. But yeah, if you can send me, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to. I was not aware that they started this group recently, to be honest. I heard that they expressed interest starting things. We should follow up. All right. Yeah, I think like in general, like this topic is like a very important piece of the puzzle, right? Observability is like the first step. With observability, then you can drive action to change things. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
should definitely have like this. This makes 100% sense. So I think like depending like if this is going to be like a project, like what is the project idea? Like how do we collaborate? If there's like already an existing working group, maybe we can collaborate with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the beginning, I was looking like, can I do something for Kubernetes, the best practices? But then I was like, yeah, I'm not a Kubernetes guy, and this is really, in total, the scope is really my thing. And also from where I work, from that perspective, we have multiple internal discussions. So we're also, how do you say it, dedicating our a few employees resources on this for the coming months. So if it can also happen then with working, open source, doing within the CNCF, that would be awesome. But yeah, we'll see.
Awesome. All right. Are there any more questions to this one or any more open discussion items? We still have a bit of time. Hotel sustainability, zemconfig. All right. Yeah, I know we also have a couple of CNCF ambassadors that are pushing a lot of open telemetry stuff. So we could potentially also get in touch with them to bridge things between the tag and the hotel project. All right. I think if there are no more open discussion items, we can stop the meeting earlier. Thanks everybody for joining. It was a very relaxed meeting. I will stop the recording.